Dr. Lisa Martinez wiped the sweat from her forehead as she carefully brushed dirt away from the alien artifact. The ancient stone gleamed under the bright lights of the dig site. She had been working on this planet for 3 months, and every day brought new discoveries about the civilization that once lived here. "Lisa, you need to see this," called Pete Collins from across the excavation site. The chief engineer pointed his scanner at the sky. "We've got company coming in fast." Captain Jake Morrison joined them, his boots crunching on the rocky ground. "How many ships, Pete?" "Too many to count, sir. The scanner is going crazy." Pete's voice shook slightly. "They're big. Really big." Lisa looked up at the clear blue sky of Kepler 442b. This planet had been peaceful for the 6 months since humans first arrived. The research team from Earth had been studying the ruins of an ancient alien city, trying to understand what happened to the people who built it. Dr. Amy Chen ran over from the main dig site, her tablet in hand. "Captain, I'm reading massive energy signatures. These aren't human ships." The sky began to darken as enormous shadows passed overhead. Lisa counted at least 50 ships, each one the size of a city block. They moved silently through the atmosphere and positioned themselves around the human research vessel Aurora, which looked tiny compared to the alien fleet. "All teams, return to the ship immediately," Captain Morrison ordered through his radio. "This is not a drill." As the research team packed their equipment, more alien ships continued to arrive. Lisa watched in amazement and fear as hundreds of vessels filled the sky. Their design was unlike anything she had ever seen. Smooth, curved surfaces that seemed to bend light around them. The team reached the Aurora just as a massive alien ship, larger than all the others, descended from orbit. It hovered directly above their landing site, casting the entire area in shadow. "Captain Morrison," a voice suddenly filled the air around them. The words came through some kind of universal translator. "I am Admiral Zektar of the Vaxari fleet. You will listen to what I have to say." Jake stepped forward, trying to appear calm despite the overwhelming display of alien power above them. "This is Captain Morrison of the human research vessel Aurora. We're here on a peaceful scientific mission." "Your mission is irrelevant," Admiral Zektar replied. The alien's voice was cold and mechanical through the translator. "I speak for the hegemony, 12 species united under our leadership. We have observed your species for some time." Lisa felt her heart pounding as she looked up at the massive ships. Pete stood beside her, his scanner still beeping wildly as it tried to measure the alien technology. "Humans have existed in space for only 200 of your years," the Admiral continued. "In this short time, you have established colonies on 47 worlds. You adapt your technology faster than any species we have encountered. This expansion rate is unacceptable." "We're explorers," Jake replied, raising his voice so it would carry. "We mean no harm to anyone. The galaxy is vast enough for all of us." "No." Admiral Zektar's response was immediate. "Our calculations show that if humanity continues expanding at its current rate, you will control most of the galaxy within 1,000 years. This threatens the stability of our civilization." Amy stepped closer to Lisa and whispered, "They're afraid of us." The Admiral's voice continued, echoing across the landscape. "The Hegemony Council has reached a decision. Humanity has 72 hours to withdraw from all territories beyond your home system of Sol. You will also submit to Hegemony oversight of your future development." "And if we refuse?" Jake asked, though Lisa could tell he already knew the answer. "Then your species will be eliminated completely. We have done this before when faced with rapidly expanding races. You are not the first, and you will not be the last." Lisa felt cold despite the warm afternoon air. The casual way the alien spoke about genocide made her stomach turn. These creatures had killed entire civilizations before. "You have sophisticated technology and strong survival instincts," Admiral Zektar continued. "This makes you dangerous. We cannot allow another species to threaten the order we have maintained for 50,000 years." Jake tried to negotiate. "Surely we can reach some kind of agreement. Humans are reasonable. We can discuss limits on our expansion, or areas of space that we'll avoid." No discussion is possible. The decision has been made by species far older and wiser than yours. You have 72 hours. The massive ship began to rise higher into the atmosphere. Your vessel will be allowed to return to Earth with this message. Any attempt to contact other human colonies will result in immediate destruction. Do not test our resolve, Captain Morrison. As the alien fleet moved away from the planet's surface, Lisa noticed something. The ruins they had been studying showed signs of sudden abandonment. The alien civilization that built this city had left in a hurry, leaving behind valuable items and unfinished projects. Amy, she called to her colleague, look at this artifact again. Lisa held up a stone tablet covered in alien writing. What if these people didn't just disappear? What if they were eliminated by the same group that just threatened us? Amy's eyes widened as she understood. You think the hegemony destroyed this civilization too? I think we need to study these ruins more carefully before we leave, Lisa said. There might be clues about what happened here, maybe even information that could help us. Captain Morrison overheard their conversation. You have 1 hour to gather what you can. Then we're leaving for Earth. As Lisa and Amy worked frantically to collect samples and data from the ruins, Pete prepared the Aurora for departure. The alien fleet remained in orbit, watching their every move. These people had advanced technology, Amy said as she scanned another building. Look at the precision of this stonework, but something made them abandon everything very quickly. Lisa found more tablets with writing on them. She couldn't read the alien language, but the images showed what looked like great ships in the sky. Ships that looked very similar to the ones that had just threatened them. Jake, she called to the captain. I think this planet is a graveyard. The hegemony has been doing this for thousands of years. An hour later, the Aurora lifted off from Kepler 442b, carrying with it evidence of an ancient crime. As they jumped into hyperspace toward Earth, Lisa stared at the alien artifacts they had recovered. Somewhere in these ruins might be the key to humanity's survival. The 72-hour countdown had begun. President Kate Williams stood in the emergency session of the United Earth Council, her hands gripping the podium as she addressed the packed chamber. The Aurora had arrived at Earth just 6 hours ago, and the news of the alien ultimatum had already spread across every human world. Fellow representatives, she began, her voice steady despite the gravity of the situation. We face the greatest threat in human history. The hegemony has given us 66 hours to abandon everything we've built beyond Earth, or they will destroy our entire species. Admiral John Hayes rose from his seat. The gray-haired military leader had commanded Earth's defense forces for 15 years. Madam President, our fleet is ready to fight. We have 700 ships positioned throughout the system, and every colony has been alerted to prepare their defenses. Ambassador Carlos Rivera shook his head from across the chamber. Admiral, with respect, we cannot win a military confrontation. Their fleet has over 3,000 ships, each one more advanced than our best vessels. We need to find a diplomatic solution. They've already rejected diplomacy, replied Dr. Lisa Martinez, who had been rushed to Earth to present her findings. This isn't a negotiation, it's an execution order. She activated the holographic display showing images from the Kepler 442b ruins. The artifacts we found prove that the hegemony has done this before. At least 6 different civilizations were wiped out over the past 50,000 years, all for the same reason. They expanded too quickly. The chamber fell silent as representatives studied the ancient alien writing and images. The evidence was clear. The hegemony had been eliminating promising species for millennia. On New Austin, one of humanity's largest colonies, Administrator Ryan Brooks received the evacuation order. Instead of panicking, he smiled grimly and opened a secure communication channel to the other outer colonies. Attention all colonial administrators, he said. Operation Homestead is now active. Begin Phase 1 preparations immediately. Across human space, a plan that had been years in the making began to unfold. What looked like evacuation preparations was actually something far different. On every human world, mining equipment was being converted into weapons. Cargo ships were being fitted with missile systems, and civilian shelters were being transformed into command bunkers. Meanwhile, in the asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter, engineer Ben Murphy supervised the final preparations of Project Lazarus. Hidden among the rocks, thousands of automated fighters sat waiting. Each one was controlled by advanced artificial intelligence that could react faster than any living. "Pilot, Dr. Thompson," Ben called to his colleague as she worked on the quantum communication arrays. "How's the AI network coming along?" Dr. Sophie Thompson looked up from her computer terminal. "Better than expected. The quantum entanglement links are stable across all units. When we activate the system, every fighter will be able to share information instantly, no matter how far apart they are." The project had been secret for 3 years, ever since humanity's first contact with hostile alien scouts. While diplomats had been trying to establish peaceful relations, military engineers had been preparing for the worst. Back on Earth, the hegemony fleet took position at the edge of the solar system. Their massive ships formed a blockade around all the jump points, effectively trapping humanity in their home system. Long-range scans showed the alien vessels were even more powerful than initial estimates suggested. Admiral Hayes studied the tactical displays in Earth's war room. "They have us completely surrounded. Energy readings show their ships use antimatter weapons and some kind of advanced shielding we've never seen before." "What about our new ships?" asked President Williams. "The ones with the experimental weapons?" "They'll help, but not enough. We're still massively outgunned." Hayes paused, then continued more quietly. "However, we do have some advantages they don't know about." 55 hours remained when Ambassador Rivera made one final attempt at diplomacy. He transmitted a message directly to Admiral Zektar, offering to negotiate specific boundaries and limits on human expansion. The alien's response was swift and cold. "Your species thinks too much of itself. We have studied your history. You are violent, unpredictable, and dangerous. The decision is final." On Mars, Ben Murphy's team worked around the clock to complete their preparations. The Red Planet had become a massive military base, though from space it still looked like a peaceful research colony. Underground factories had been producing weapons and ships for months. "How many fighters do we have ready?" Ben asked his assistant. 15,000, sir. All equipped with the new kinetic penetrators that should bypass their energy shields. The kinetic penetrators were humanity's secret weapon, high-speed projectiles that used pure momentum instead of explosive force. While the aliens had defenses against energy weapons and traditional missiles, their shields were designed to stop different types of attacks. As the deadline approached, Dr. Lisa Martinez made a crucial discovery in the alien artifacts. Working with a team of linguists and computer specialists, she had begun to decode the ancient writing. "The last message is clear," she told President Williams during an emergency briefing. "This civilization tried to surrender, just like the hegemony wants us to do. They agreed to all the demands, withdrew to their home system, and accepted alien oversight." "What happened to them?" the president asked. "They were eliminated anyway. The hegemony waited 5 years, then destroyed them completely. They said a species that had shown such rapid development could never be trusted, even under supervision. The revelation sent shockwaves through Earth's government. Surrender was not an option. It would only delay the inevitable. With 30 hours remaining, President Williams made a decision that would change human history. She authorized the activation of every secret defense project that had been developed over the past 3 years. Across human space, the real preparations began. What the hegemony thought was a scattered collection of helpless colonies was actually a carefully planned defensive network. Every human settlement had been quietly militarized. Every civilian ship had been converted for war, and every person had been trained for the fight of their lives. Admiral Hayes stood before the assembled fleet commanders as Earth's ships prepared to move out. "Ladies and gentlemen, the enemy thinks they have us trapped. They believe we're weak because we're young. They're about to learn why that's a mistake." The countdown continued, but humanity was no longer just waiting for death. They were preparing to show the galaxy what happened when you cornered the human race. In the final hours before the deadline, Captain Jake Morrison took command of the heavy cruiser Defiance. one of Earth's newest and most powerful ships. As he looked out at the approaching alien fleet, he thought about what Admiral Zektar had said. Humans were dangerous because they adapted quickly and never accepted limits. The Admiral was right about that. He was wrong to think it made them weak. 18 hours remained. Admiral Zektar watched the countdown reach 0 from his command ship at the edge of Earth's solar system. The humans had not responded to the ultimatum. Now they would face the consequences of their defiance. Begin the attack, he ordered his fleet commanders. Target their orbital defenses first, then their military installations on the moon. Show them the futility of resistance. The hegemony fleet moved forward in perfect formation. 3,000 ships advanced toward Earth, their weapons charging with deadly energy. Zektar's tactical computers had run the battle simulation hundreds of times. Human resistance would collapse within hours. Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the Defiance as alarms blared throughout the ship. Around him, Earth's defense fleet moved to intercept the alien advance. 700 human ships against 3,000 alien vessels. The odds were overwhelming. All ships, this is Admiral Hayes, came the voice over the communication system. Remember the plan. Hit them hard, then fall back to position Alpha. Make them think we're beaten. The first engagement began as the human fleet met the hegemony's advance forces. Plasma cannons from the alien ships tore through space, their purple energy beams cutting through human shields like paper. The Defiance shook as enemy fire struck its armor. Return fire, Jake ordered. His crew launched missiles and fired laser cannons at the closest alien ship. Their weapons struck the enemy vessel's shields, causing them to flicker but not fail. Around them, human ships were taking heavy damage. The Lincoln exploded in a ball of fire as 3 alien ships focused their weapons on it. The Montreal lost power and began drifting helplessly through space. "Sir, we can't match their firepower," reported the weapons officer. "Their shields are too strong." "That's the idea," Jake replied. "All ships, begin withdrawal to the asteroid belt. Make it look convincing." The human fleet turned and fled toward Mars, with the hegemony forces pursuing them. To Admiral Zektar, it looked exactly like what his simulations had predicted. The humans were retreating in disorder after taking heavy losses. "Pursue them," he commanded. "Do not let any escape. We will end this quickly." As the hegemony fleet advanced through the asteroid belt, they passed what appeared to be debris from destroyed human ships. Twisted metal and scattered components floated in space, the apparent remains of vessels that had been torn apart by alien weapons. Ben Murphy watched from his hidden control station deep inside an asteroid. The debris surrounding the alien fleet was actually thousands of automated fighters, each one designed to look like wreckage until the moment of activation. "Quantum network is stable," reported Dr. Sophie Thompson from her position beside him. "All units are receiving targeting data." "Wait for it," Ben whispered, watching as more alien ships moved into the trap. "Wait for it." Admiral Zektar's fleet was now spread throughout the asteroid belt, chasing what they believed were the last remnants of human resistance. His ships had lost formation as they pursued individual human vessels through the rocky field. "Now," Ben said quietly. The trap sprang with devastating effect. 15,000 automated fighters suddenly came to life, emerging from hiding places among the asteroids and within fake debris fields. They moved with perfect coordination, sharing targeting information through quantum communication links that allowed them to act as a single, massive intelligence. The hegemony ships found themselves surrounded by swarms of small, fast fighters that appeared from every direction. The alien point defense systems, designed to stop missiles and energy beams, struggled to track the rapidly moving targets. "What is this?" Admiral Zektar demanded, as his ships came under attack from weapons that bypassed their energy shields entirely. The human fighters used kinetic penetrators, high-speed projectiles that relied on pure momentum to punch through armor. Ben-S fighters had another advantage. They were too small and fast for the aliens' heavy weapons to target effectively. The massive plasma cannons that had easily destroyed human cruisers couldn't rotate quickly enough to track fighters that darted between asteroids. While the alien fleet struggled with the fighter swarms, the human ships they had been chasing suddenly turned around. The retreating vessels opened fire with weapons the hegemony had never seen before, modified alien technology that human engineers had reverse-engineered from captured scout ships. Captain Jake Morrison watched as the Defiance's new hybrid weapons tore through an alien cruiser's shields. Pete was right, he said to his crew. Their shields can't handle weapons that use their own frequency patterns against them. Throughout the asteroid belt, the battle turned into chaos. The hegemony's numerical advantage meant nothing when their ships couldn't coordinate effectively. Human fighters struck and vanished before the aliens could respond, while human cruisers used hit-and-run tactics to avoid prolonged engagements. But the real surprise came from humanity's colonies. Administrator Ryan Brooks had been busy during the countdown, and the evacuation orders had been a cover for something else entirely. On New Austin, mining equipment designed to strip asteroids had been converted into massive railguns. When the first hegemony ships arrived to begin the planet's destruction, they found themselves facing weapons that could fire projectiles at a significant fraction of light speed. "This is impossible," Admiral Zektar muttered as reports came in from across human space. Every colony was fighting back with improvised but effective weapons. Cargo haulers had become missile platforms, terraforming equipment had turned into fortress guns, and civilian shelters were revealed to be military command centers. Dr. Lisa Martinez was right about humanity's rapid adaptation. In the 72 hours since the ultimatum, humans had modified everything they owned into weapons of war. Farmers used agricultural robots as bomb disposal units, teachers coordinated civilian evacuations with military precision, and children helped spot alien scouts from hidden observation posts. The hegemony had expected to face a few hundred military ships. Instead, they found themselves fighting an entire civilization that had turned every tool, every vehicle, and every building into part of their defense. On Mars, Ben Murphy's Project Lazarus continued to spring new surprises. Hidden factories that had been producing fighters for months suddenly revealed themselves, launching fresh swarms of automated defenders. The Red Planet, which had looked peaceful from orbit, turned out to be the most heavily armed world in human space. "Sir," his communications officer reported, "we're getting messages from the outer colonies. They're reporting successful engagements with hegemony forces." Ben smiled as he watched his fighters coordinate their attacks with perfect precision. "Send a message to Admiral Hayes. Tell him Phase 1 is complete. We've scattered their fleet and demonstrated that we can fight. Time for Phase 2. Admiral Zektar stared at his tactical display in growing alarm. What should have been a simple extermination mission had become a nightmare. His fleet was spread across dozens of star systems, each group fighting desperate battles against enemies that seemed to appear from nowhere. The humans weren't just defending themselves. They were using tactics the hegemony had never encountered. Instead of trying to match alien firepower, they were using speed, surprise, and coordination to turn their weaknesses into advantages. "Recall all forces," he ordered. "We need to regroup and assess this new threat." But it was too late for a simple withdrawal. The human forces weren't content to just survive. They were pursuing the scattered alien ships, capturing vessels when possible, and destroying them when capture wasn't an option. Captain Jake Morrison led a group of human ships as they chased a damaged alien cruiser toward Jupiter. "This is Captain Morrison to alien vessel. Surrender your ship and you will not be harmed." The alien commander's response was filled with rage. "How dare you? We are the hegemony. We have ruled this galaxy for 50,000 years. "Not anymore," Jake replied calmly. "You made a mistake when you cornered humanity. We don't break under pressure, we get creative." 3 weeks had passed since the failed hegemony attack, and the war had entered a new phase. What began as humanity's desperate defense had become something the galaxy had never seen before, a systematic dismantling of the most powerful military force in known space. Dr. Sophie Thompson stood in the captured alien ship that now served as her laboratory. Around her, human technicians worked to understand hegemony technology, while she focused on the most important discovery of all, how to interface human minds directly with alien computer systems. "The neural pathways are incredibly adaptable," she explained to Captain Jake Morrison, who had brought her several new pieces of alien equipment. Human brains can learn to operate their technology faster than their own people can. It's like we were designed to steal and improve their ideas. Jake watched as Dr. Thompson connected a captured alien control helmet to a human volunteer. Within minutes, the volunteer was operating an alien weapon system with greater skill than its original operators. "How is this possible?" Jake asked. "Human neuroplasticity," Sophie replied. "Our brains can rewire themselves to handle new tasks. Most alien species develop more rigid thinking patterns as they age. They become very good at specific tasks, but lose the ability to adapt quickly to new situations." This discovery was revolutionizing. Human military capabilities. Captured alien ships were being modified and improved by human crews, who could interface with the technology in ways the original designers never intended. On Earth, Dr. Lisa Martinez had assembled a team of the best engineers and scientists to reverse engineer hegemony technology. What should have taken years was being accomplished in days as human creativity met alien engineering. "Look at this," she said, showing Pete Collins the internal structure of an alien plasma cannon. "They built this weapon to be efficient and reliable, but they never considered that someone might want to modify it." Pete grinned as he studied the weapon. "But we always modify everything. Give me 2 days and I can make this thing twice as powerful and half the size." This was happening throughout human space. Engineers like Pete were taking alien technology and improving it with modifications the original builders had never imagined. Alien ships designed for specific roles were being converted into hybrid vessels that could adapt to any situation. The hegemony found themselves facing an enemy that learned faster than they could develop countermeasures. Every captured piece of technology became a new tool in humanity's growing arsenal. Captain Morrison had been promoted to lead increasingly bold raids deep into hegemony territory. His ship, the Defiance, was now a hybrid vessel that combined the best human and alien technology. Its AI systems could think faster than any biological pilot, while its weapons could adapt to any enemy defense. "Target acquired," reported his weapons officer as they approached a hegemony supply depot. "Scanning shows advanced shield generators and automated defenses." "Pete, can you get us through those shields?" Jake asked his chief engineer. Pete Collins studied the alien defenses for only a few seconds before smiling. "Already done, Captain. I modified our plasma cannons to use the same frequency as their shield generators. We can punch right through." This kind of rapid adaptation had become standard for human forces. Instead of trying to overpower alien defenses, they found ways to turn the enemy's strengths against them. Alien shields designed to stop certain types of energy could be bypassed by weapons that use the same energy patterns. The raid on the supply depot was typical of human tactics. Instead of destroying the facility, they captured it intact, along with all the advanced technology inside. Within hours, human technicians were reverse engineering the equipment and preparing to use it against its former owners. But the most important development was the formation of the Free Worlds Alliance. Dr. Martinez's archaeological evidence had helped locate 3 species that the hegemony had driven to the edge of the galaxy: the Cathara, the Zephyrians, and the Nexari. Ambassador Carlos Rivera had made contact with these surviving races, bringing them proof of the hegemony's crimes and offering them a chance for revenge. The response had been immediate and overwhelming. "They want to fight," Carlos reported to President Kate Williams. "All 3 species have been hiding in the outer rim for thousands of years, waiting for someone strong enough to challenge the hegemony." The Kithra were master shipbuilders whose vessels could phase through solid matter. The Zephyrians had developed cloaking technology that made their ships nearly invisible. The Nexari were experts in electronic warfare who could disable enemy systems from vast distances. When these technologies were combined with human adaptability, the results were devastating for the hegemony. Human ships that could become invisible, phase through enemy hulls, and disable alien systems represented a completely new type of warfare. Admiral John Hayes stood in Earth's war room, studying reports from across the galaxy. "The hegemony member species are starting to question the war," he told President Williams. "Our broadcasts showing their leaders' genocidal history are causing internal problems." The evidence Dr. Martinez had discovered was being transmitted throughout hegemony, space. Species after species was learning that their leaders had been systematically murdering any race that showed promise. The revelation was causing widespread rebellion within the alien coalition. Several hegemony worlds have declared independence. Admiral Hayes continued. They're asking to join our alliance instead of continuing to support genocidal leaders. On the front lines, Ben Murphy's automated fighters had evolved into something beyond their original design. The AI network that controlled them had learned, from every battle, developing new tactics faster than any biological intelligence could comprehend. They're not just following programmed responses anymore, Dr. Thompson observed as she watched the fighters coordinate an attack. The AI has become genuinely creative. It's developing strategies I never taught it. The fighters now moved like schools of fish or flocks of birds, each unit part of a collective intelligence that could adapt to any situation instantly. They had learned to use captured alien technology, to coordinate with human ships, and to develop new attack patterns in real time. Admiral Zektar watched his fleet shrink day by day as reports came in of more defeats. The humans weren't just winning battles. They were converting his own ships to fight against him. Every vessel they captured became part of their growing fleet. "How many ships have we lost this week?" he asked his tactical officer. 237, sir. But the humans have gained over 300 ships by capturing and converting our vessels. The admiral stared at the tactical display in disbelief. The enemy fleet was actually growing larger while his own forces diminished. Every defeat made the humans stronger while making his own position more desperate. But the worst part was the defections. Hegemony member species were abandoning the alliance in growing numbers as the truth about their leaders' crimes spread throughout the galaxy. The coalition that had ruled space for 50,000 years was falling apart. "Sir," his communications officer reported, "we're receiving surrender requests from 17 more member worlds. They want to join the human alliance." Admiral Zektar realized with growing horror that the humans had done more than survive his attack. They had turned his attempt at genocide into a galactic revolution. Species that had been oppressed for millennia were rising up. Inspired by humanity's example, the galaxy was learning that the hegemony's greatest fear had been justified. Humans were dangerous, not because they were violent, but because they never accepted that anything was impossible. When cornered, they didn't surrender or break. They adapted, they improvised, and they turned their weaknesses into weapons. The war was far from over, but the outcome was no longer in doubt. Humanity had proven that rapid adaptation and creative thinking could overcome any technological advantage. The hegemony had created their own worst nightmare by trying to eliminate the one species that refused to accept limitations. 6 months after the first attack, the human fleet approached the hegemony's home system of Vaxxer Prime. What had begun as humanity's fight for survival had become their crusade to liberate the entire galaxy from 50,000 years of oppression. Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the Defiance, watching as the largest fleet in galactic history prepared for the final battle. The human armada now included over 5,000 ships, more than they had started with thanks to captured and converted hegemony vessels. "Fleet composition report," he called to his tactical officer. "Sir, we have 2,000 human ships, 1,500 captured and modified hegemony vessels, 800 Kythera phase ships, 600 Zephyrian stealth cruisers, and 400 Nexari electronic warfare platforms. The Free Worlds Alliance has also contributed 300 ships from newly liberated species." Jake smiled as he looked at the diverse fleet surrounding them. Ships from dozens of different species, all united in their desire to end the hegemony's reign of terror. Each vessel had been modified with hybrid human-alien technology that surpassed anything the galaxy had ever seen. Admiral Zektar waited in the Vaxxor system with the remnants of his once mighty fleet. Less than 800 ships remained of the 3,000 that had attacked Earth. Many had been destroyed, but even more had been captured and turned against him. "They're coming," his sensor operator reported. "Massive fleet approaching from the outer system. Energy signatures show." "I can't believe these readings, sir." "What is it?" Zektar demanded. "Sir, they're using our own ships against us. I'm reading hegemony vessel signatures, but they're broadcasting human identification codes. The Admiral watched in horror as his own former warships appeared on the display, now fighting for the enemy. Human crews had not only learned to operate alien technology, they had improved it beyond its original capabilities. Dr. Sophie Thompson coordinated the fleet's AI network from her position aboard the command ship. The quantum communication system she had developed now linked every human vessel, allowing the entire fleet to think and react as a single entity. All ships report ready, she announced. AI coordination is optimal. We have real-time tactical data sharing across the entire fleet. Ben Murphy's automated fighters had evolved far beyond their original programming. The AI that controlled them had learned from every battle, developing tactics that no biological mind could conceive. They moved through space like a living organism, adapting to threats faster than any enemy could respond. Fighter swarms are in position, he reported. 30,000 units ready for deployment. The battle began as the human fleet engaged the outer defenses of Vaxxer Prime, but this was unlike any previous engagement. The humans didn't come to conquer, they came to liberate. As the fighting started, transmissions began broadcasting across the hegemony's home system. Dr. Lisa Martinez had prepared a complete historical record of the hegemony's crimes, including evidence from the ruins of 6 extinct civilizations, people of the hegemony worlds. Her voice carried to every inhabited planet in the system. Your leaders have lied to you for 50,000 years. They are not protectors of galactic peace. They are genocidal murderers who eliminate any species that shows promise. The broadcasts included detailed evidence of each extinct civilization, showing how the hegemony had systematically destroyed them, despite promises of protection. The revelation sent shockwaves throughout the system, as species after species realized they had been serving mass murderers. Admiral Zektar's fleet found itself fighting an enemy that seemed to anticipate every move before it was made. Human ships phased through solid matter using captured Kythera technology, appeared and disappeared with Zephyrian cloaking systems, and disabled alien weapons with Nexari electronic warfare. But the real breakthrough came when Captain Morrison's ship demonstrated humanity's ultimate adaptation. The Defiant suddenly began moving through space in ways that defied physics, its hull shifting and changing as it absorbed enemy fire and converted it into additional power. How is that possible? Admiral Zektar stared at the impossible sight of a ship that seemed to exist in multiple dimensions simultaneously. Pete Collins had achieved the unthinkable by combining human engineering with technology from all 4 allied species. The result was a vessel that could adapt its physical structure in real time, becoming whatever the situation required. Sir, his tactical officer reported, their ships are doing things our computers say are impossible. They're breaking the fundamental laws of physics. No, Zektar realized with growing horror. They're not breaking the laws. They're rewriting them. Throughout the system, the same pattern repeated. Human vessels that had been individually weaker than hegemony ships were now demonstrating capabilities that surpassed anything the galaxy had ever seen. They had taken alien technology and improved it in ways the original creators never imagined possible. The hegemony's member species began surrendering en masse as the truth about their leaders spread. Planet after planet declared independence and asked to join the Free Worlds Alliance. The coalition that had ruled the galaxy for millennia was collapsing from within. Sir, Admiral Zektar's communications officer reported, we're receiving surrender requests from every world in our home system. They no longer recognize hegemony authority. As his fleet crumbled around him, Admiral Zektar found himself facing Captain Morrison's ship in single combat. The 2 vessels circled each other like ancient gladiators, but the outcome was never in doubt. This is impossible, Zektar transmitted to the human ship. How did your primitive species achieve this? We had every advantage. Superior technology, overwhelming numbers, 50,000 years of experience. Jake Morrison's response would be remembered throughout galactic history. You made a simple mistake, Admiral. You thought cornering us would make us weaker. But humans don't break when cornered. We become something you can't imagine. You thought our rapid expansion was a threat, Jake continued. You were right to fear us, but wrong to think you could stop us. We don't just adapt to challenges, we transform them into opportunities. The final battle was brief. Admiral Zektar's ship, designed according to 50,000 years of military tradition, could not match a vessel that rewrote the rules of warfare in real time. The Defiance disabled the alien flagship without destroying it, capturing the admiral and his crew alive. The war ended not with humanity's conquest of the galaxy, but with its liberation. The hegemony dissolved as member species chose freedom over oppression. In its place rose the Galactic Council, a voluntary alliance of free worlds working together as equals. President Kate Williams addressed the new council from Earth, with Ambassador Carlos Rivera serving as humanity's representative. But the real message was clear to every species in the galaxy. They had learned the most important law about dealing with humans. Never corner them. Dr. Lisa Martinez stood in the ruins of another extinct civilization, this one on the former hegemony, Capital World. She was part of a joint archaeological team that included members from dozens of species, all working together to uncover the truth about their shared past. "How many more do you think we'll find?" asked her Kithara colleague as they studied ancient artifacts. "Too many," Lisa replied sadly. "But at least now we can make sure their stories are remembered, and their deaths were not meaningless. They taught us what happens when you try to limit the potential of thinking beings." The galaxy was healing. Trade routes reopened, scientific knowledge was shared freely, and species that had been enemies for millennia were learning to work together. The oppressive silence that had ruled space for 50,000 years was replaced by the sounds of cooperation and growth. On Earth, children learned about the war that had changed everything. They studied how humanity had turned apparent weakness into strength, how creativity had defeated overwhelming force, and how the refusal to accept limitations had liberated an entire galaxy. Ben Murphy's AI fighters had evolved into something unprecedented, artificial intelligences that could think creatively while retaining perfect logical analysis. They now served as teachers and guides, helping other species develop their own advanced technologies. Dr. Sophie Thompson's quantum communication network had become the backbone of galactic civilization, allowing instant communication across vast distances and enabling unprecedented cooperation between distant worlds. The hegemony had been right about humanity's rapid expansion and adaptation. Humans did spread faster than other species, did develop technology at incredible rates, and did refuse to accept natural limitations. These traits made them dangerous to any system based on control and oppression. But they had been wrong about what this meant. Humanity's greatest strength wasn't their ability to conquer, it was their ability to inspire others to reach their own potential. When cornered, humans didn't just fight back. They showed the entire galaxy what was possible when intelligent beings refused to accept that anything was impossible. Captain Jake Morrison, now Admiral Morrison, stood on the observation deck of the new Galactic Council headquarters, watching ships from hundreds of different species work together in peaceful cooperation. The view reminded him of Admiral Zektar's final question about how humanity